They weren't paying any attention to you, Jason. Make them remember.
Hey, what up, guys? Thanks for checking out Killer Comparisons, the show where we take your favorite horror franchises and compare them to our favorite, Friday the 13th. Now, I thought with this month's special holiday, the 1981 slasher flick My Bloody Valentine would be great. And now I know what you're thinking, it's only one film. Two films. It got the good old reboot treatment in 2009, just like Friday the 13th. So it's perfect. This is Killer Comparisons, My Bloody Valentine. Alright, so how do I compare an 80s slasher flick to Friday the 13th? Another slasher flick, but it spawned a franchise. 12 films, comics, novels, video games, and a spin-off television show of the same name. Friday the 13th has it all, and My Bloody Valentine is just one film, well, two films. It got the reboot treatment in the late 2000s. This should be fun. Let's start with the obvious. They're both horror films. Slasher films to be exact, and you could even argue the originals are both whodunits. They both got reboots in 2009, and both series love 3D. But what else is similar or different between these slashers? For this video, we're only comparing the original Friday the 13th for budget and production references, as well as Friday the 13th Part 2, which was released the same year as My Bloody Valentine, 1981. And then, of course, the 2009 films. The budget for the original Friday the 13th in 1980 was $700,000, and then a year later in 1981, the sequel for Friday the 13th, Part 2, was $1 million. My Bloody Valentine came in at $2.3 million. You see, no one knew that the original Friday would be such a hit, and when it was, the budgets for all the slasher films increased, including Part 2, but definitely My Bloody Valentine. In 2009, Friday the 13th comes in with a budget of $19 million, while the 3D reboot of My Bloody Valentine's budget was $15 million. So Friday the 13th had a little bigger of a budget this time in 2009, unlike that of 81. And checking out the box office, the original Friday the 13th was huge, $59.8 million, and Part 2, $21.7 million. While 1981's My Bloody Valentine was nowhere close with only $5.6 million. A bigger budget doesn't mean a better outcome. In 2009, the same thing. Friday the 13th with a bigger budget but lower box office, $92.7 million, and My Bloody Valentine with $100.7 million. Perhaps the 3D gimmick worked while in theaters. Okay, but forget the numbers. I hate thinking that a film is good just because it has a good budget, made a lot of money, or a certain studio or director is behind it. Let's check out what really makes these films the killers. For this comparison, I'm saying Harry Warden. I'm not going to say Tom or Axel. You'll probably hear the minor, but for the main part, the killer is Harry Warden. It's just easier to follow and less confusing. Trust me. The killer in My Bloody Valentine, Harry Warden, is a coal miner. He wears coveralls, has a helmet, a breathing mask, even a handy little light when it gets dark in those mines. His weapon of choice is a pickaxe, and for height, we're going to reference the House of Hell wiki. It states Harry is around 6 foot 2 inches. I usually average the heights of the actors or stuntmen who played the villain, but it was difficult to find any information on Peter Coper, who played Harry Warden, or Neil Affleck, who played Axel. In the original Friday the 13th, Mrs. Voorhees, played by Betsy Palmer of course, comes in at 5 foot 7 inches and sports a stylish blue sweater and this sweet little knife. She is a fan of arrows also. But of course, in 1981, we got Jason, sackhead and all, one eye cut out, flannel tee and overalls, referred to as the Hillbilly Jason. Weapon of choice is a pitchfork. Jason actor Steve Dash is 5 foot 10 inches, so a little shorter than Harry Warden. In 1981, these were your killers. Which ones do you guys prefer? Now if we were to do this and compare 2009's killers, Harry Warden would shrink about an inch to 6 foot 1 inch to Jensen Ackles' height, but his appearance stays about the same. Now enter Derek Mears, who portrayed Jason in 2009 and comes in at 6 foot 5 inches, wearing tattered clothes, a sack mask in the beginning, but discovering the hockey mask later in the film, machete was his weapon of choice. Now which ones do you guys prefer? Amazing what 10 films can do. And yes, I know that is a Part 7 Jason, not a 2009 Jason in the comparison, but it's the best cartoon we could find, so give me a break. Okay, so we have the killers, but now we gotta have their enemy, rival, their arch nemesis, the one that got away, the final girl. My Bloody Valentine gives us Sarah, a nice regular girl, except she's caught up in some sort of love triangle with boyfriend Axel and ex-boyfriend TJ, who just moved back to town. There isn't much to her character. You may feel a little sorry for her while she's talking to TJ, but her character really isn't given too much time to develop beyond that. We hardly see her fight back against the killer, at least not like Jenny in Friday the 13th Part 2 or even Alice from the original. Jenny showed a lot of thought in some scenes, like actually talking about Jason in the bar with Paul, or defending herself, or even tricking Jason at the end. Sarah just kinda hid behind TJ, never really showing us what she could do. But we can't knock her because she did survive. In 2009, again we got Sarah in a love triangle, but this time I don't feel sorry for her and I feel that she's more to blame for it, egging on this creepy dude Tom. Just saying. However, this time she does fight back and kicks a lot of ass in this film, unlike Jenna in 2009's Friday the 13th, who personally I just found annoying. I know Jenna isn't technically the final girl in the film, but we barely see Whitney and spend majority of time with Jenna, so I'm gonna compare Jenna instead. Jenna and Sarah do have one thing in common though, and that's that they're both whores. Each girl has a boyfriend or husband and spend most of the film with another guy. Whitney, our real final girl from Friday the 13th, 2009, does fight back and kick a lot of ass as well in the end of the film, but like all the other characters, I don't feel that she had much time or even screen time to develop, and I honestly feel the whole cast is just throwaways. Sorry. For male leads, we have Paul and Clay in the Friday films, and Axel in My Bloody Valentine, as well as TJ and Tom. And Paul was great, and Clay got a little bit of sympathy with the disappearance of his sister. Now, Axel was just a dick in both films, while TJ was cocky, but still pretty likable, and Tom, well, he was just creepy. Of course, I have to mention that Clay and Tom are both from the TV show Supernatural, which I personally know nothing about, so I won't act like I do. At the time of the film's release, though, in 2009, this was a big deal. Supporting cast is just as important as the main characters, and in Friday the 13th, we have Stu, Jeff, Sandra, Mark, Scott, Terry, and Vicky. My Bloody Valentine gave us the lovable old Mabel, Happy, Dave, Harriet, Hollis, Patty, and Howard. Both films have a lake, a cop, and a bar. In 2009, we get Trent, Bree, Chewie, Lawrence, Nolan, Richie, Wade, Amanda, Mike, this hillbilly dude, and this hillbilly woman. And popping off the screen in 3D in 2009, we get Frank, this naked chick, Megan, Sheriff Burke, Deputy Martin, Ben Foley, and Red, along with a bunch of other people not important enough to mention. But what's the point of a final girl and her group of friends if you can't knock them off? Let's check out the kills from Friday the 13th and My Bloody Valentine. Friday the 13th Part 2, we start with Alice and an ice pick to the temple. Crazy Ralph finally gets his with barbed wire to the neck, a police officer and a hammer to the head. Scott gets hung upside down and his throat slashed. Terry just kinda screams, Mark and a machete to the face, Jeff and Sandra double impaled, and Vicky was stabbed. Over in the mines in 1981's My Bloody Valentine, we start with a woman impaled through the chest, an explosion killing lots of miners, Axel's father gets his heart cut out, Mabel is pickaxed to death and shoved in a dryer, Happy gets it through the eye, Dave is drowned in a pot of boiling water, Sylvia gets impaled on a pipe, Michael and Harriet both fall victims to a drill, while Hollis gets it with a nail gun, Howard gets his head ripped off while hanging from a rope, and Patty gets the pickaxe in the stomach. Switching over to 2009, the kills in Friday the 13th were pretty memorable, starting with that of Mrs. Voorhees beheading in a flashback. Wade dies before he can get his weed, Amanda hangs and burns in an awesome sleeping bag death, Mike is stabbed through the floor, Richie is slammed with a machete in his head, Donnie the hillbilly is slashed, Nolan gets it with an arrow, Chelsea is stabbed with a machete through the dock, Chewie chokes up blood while stabbed with a screwdriver through his throat, Lawrence gets an axe in his back, Officer Brackey is stabbed through the eye with a fireplace poker, Trent is hung up on a truck, and Jenna gets sliced through the chest with a machete. 2009's My Bloody Valentine also gave us some awesome kills, and even more enjoyable by the 3D. We start with another explosion killing tons of miners and then some doctors and patients in a hospital. Heading back to the mine, we see a bunch of partiers killed, including this awesome shovel kill. Then Harry is shot. I don't know if that counts as a kill. Frank the Trucker gets a pickaxe to the head, Celine is stabbed and electrocuted, this naked girl gets a pickaxe to the stomach, Red gets it in his arm, forehead, and chest, Ben gets it through the eye, Sheriff Burke, played by the amazing Tom Atkin, gets his jaw ripped off in one of my favorite kills ever, and a random rescue worker gets one last 3D pickaxe to the face. Notable similarities? Eyeballs in 3D, like this one from Rick in Friday the 13th Part 3, and this one in 2009's My Bloody Valentine. Maybe it's just the 3D that makes the whole eyeball gimmick so popular and makes it work, but it's awesome. But of course, no slasher film is complete without its creepy backstory and its eerie location, usually away from adult supervision, where the killer can knock them off one by one. Let's check them out. Friday the 13th takes place in the spooky woods of Crystal Lake. We have cabins, campfires, trails, and of course the lake. My Bloody Valentine takes place in a small town where coal mining is everything. The entire town is based around this mine, and both films actually, and we get all the spots of small town living. The police station, the laundromat, the bar, the grocery store, and of course the mine. It's underground, it's away from supervision, it's the perfect place to party. In Friday the 13th, Jason drowned as a boy. His mother killed everyone for revenge. After she was decapitated by another counselor, Jason begins his killing spree and becoming the undead killing machine that we all know and love today. In My Bloody Valentine, Harry Warden is a miner involved in an accident inside the coal mine, causing lots of deaths, and I'll just let this guy tell you.
Anxious to get to the party, they left before the men were safely out, failing to check the methane gas levels in the tunnels down below. 5 men were buried alive as the town continued its party. Exactly 1 year later, on Valentine's Day, he came back to town. Inside was a note, a warning from Harry, never to hold a Valentine's dance ever again.
The whole kicker of it is that it's not really Harry Warden, but Axel, who witnessed his father killed by Harry. It's kind of a twist ending and a whodunit. In the 2009 reboot, it's similar, except now Axel is the sheriff and the killer is this creepy dude named Tom, who's responsible for the explosion and the accident that started it all, creating Harry Warden. Now, I would love to compare Harry Warden to Jason Voorhees outside of just these two films. Maybe comics, novels, video game. But honestly, there is no other Harry Warden stories besides 1981 and 2009's films. Fan film, anyone? So let's check out the cover art. 1981, if you went into a theater or a video store, this is what you would see. And in 2009, if you turned on Netflix or something, this is what you would see. But thanks to some awesome home media releases, we get to see the films like never before. A special edition DVD and Blu-ray release of My Bloody Valentine actually contains some deleted scenes and extra footage. Totally awesome and worth it to check out if you enjoy the film or slasher films. Friday the 13th has of course been released on multiple formats, and the Ultimate Edition DVD of Part 3 contains 3D glasses, just like that of My Bloody Valentine. Fucking sweet. And one more notable similarity is this guy right here, Todd Farmer, writer of My Bloody Valentine 2009 and also writer of Jason X. You actually see him die in both films. Pretty cool. He has been killed by both Jason and Harry Warden. And that's our comparison of My Bloody Valentine's Harry Warden to Friday the 13th's Jason Voorhees. Hockey goalie, coal miner. Which one do you prefer? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to let us know who you'd like to see next time on Killer Comparisons. Thanks for watching, guys.